Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of U.S. Gov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire DeHuberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity.
Welcome to episode 16 of Jake and Kurt making Turbo Pitfighter. Jake, you have returned from a very relaxing spring break, I heard.
It might be relaxing if you have a different personality type. But hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Making Turbo Pitfighter. I'm Jake and I'm here with Kurt. We're your hosts on a adventure ride into comic book making, science fiction title that we got here. And I'm trying to resist messing with every little thing. But we are, Kurt's got some magazine bags there, and I think he's.
I am anticipating that this episode will release the amazingness that is in our second Turbo Pitfighter teaser, and I have purchased poly bags because I'll be printing my own at the Kinko's and stapling them myself. So I got this nice long stapler. So I'm poised. And yesterday, my 100 backing boards. So yes, our Turbo teasers will come to you bagged and boarded from my side of the pond. So, or my side of New Jersey.
Right. And I'm going to be a little bit lazier than Kurt. I'm just going to be paying to get some teasers made. But before I send this to the printer, I want to. I got to fix up some of the lettering. So I noticed that you sent me these hand lettered files, but it looks like there's a different layer for every word balloon.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I had to. I had to do with some of those individual word balloons. I had to manipulate them, and in other words, I had to clean them up, move more centered the lining because when I was writing, it was going, it was just, and then it had to fit as close to the box that was drawn, other than those narration box I had created.
Okay, well, I'm just going to do a little command here called merge visible, and now they're all going to be on one layer. Right. Because I think that increases incredibly the file size. And I'm going to hit, I'll hit save so that we can flatten all that down. So now I'm just going to be fixing up the text and maybe just like a couple little revisions here. We don't do too much on computer, and folks can see our process here. But this will make it a lot easier because before I couldn't even find where I was trying to do something because I don't know what layer was on. Then you got to go flipping through every layer. So I like this lettering style. But it seems to get rushed some places, and so
yeah, I'll admit that because I am doing it. Oh gosh, sorry, excuse me. I got a little hoarse there. Hold on a second. Need a cup of coffee.
Oh boy, okay.
A little sip of coffee there. Sippy sip. So
yeah, because when we
one of the things I hate the most as being an artist, number one, is drawing in public and talking, having to talk. So our podcast, as much as I love and enjoy it, it's the only time we actually have to do said podcast, the work, other than when I do take some time during the week, which I had prior, or maybe the week after. Anyway, so it's about time, but it's more about me being split in my focus. So if there are any, and we had done this on the Turbo teaser number 1, if there are any that you feel need to be really redone, I'm fine to do that. I'm.
Well, I mean, it's like it's not the whole thing needs to be done. It's just like
Yeah, no. I know if it's 1 or 2 balloons. Yeah, I mean, if it's 1 or 2 balloons that need to be redone.
No, it's not even that. It's like just a couple letters here and there. Because
I did do some of that in Photoshop.
What's that? Yeah, I'm doing that in Photoshop.
I did some in Photoshop. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just don't want anybody that's trying to read to be distracted. And, we went through this kind of like whole reinventing the process earlier on, and we had a great first page. I think it's just that you're making the lettering much faster than you made that first page.
Right.
I guess it was really slow go to do that, and it's time intensive. But I mean, I'm just looking at this. This is really splattery. I don't know if people can even read it.
All right, yeah, back on the air.
Sorry,
the splatters you're cleaning up right now, I did as well. And it comes from these paint-tipped markers I absolutely love, and you introduced me to. But the way I move my hand in that, it'll catch the paper, and then it'll do this little flick. Sometimes I like it because we have a filthy little post-apocalyptic comic we're working on, so imperfection is a part of the design. But at the same time, yes, if there's an area which becomes completely a word, let's say, inside a word bubble that's unintelligible, then we need to clean it up. So, but I had gone through as much as I could, but I know you are very meticulous, as you are right now, moving each word and spacing. So,
I do that. I do need that reminder because no one's going to see it that close. I think we just spoke to someone who was going to. So thanks for that.
That's all right.
Sure. I'm not. Oh, so you went into a different layer here, and I think I just lost that.
That's one of the reasons. One of the reasons I had them on layers were that once I had gotten the word bubble established, I then cut out and brought in the spiky narration box, then put that behind there, and then I had to, pull and push a little bit to get it there. And as you can see too, that even the box is, it's just not being covered up. The original narration box is not being covered up. So 2 things could happen. One would be the whole box with the type could get a little bigger.
I see the problem. No, I'm wondering why. Wondering why this box is even there, because this box is much smaller.
Exactly. Yeah.
So all I got to do is just erase it. I just got to go in with the tool. So you added a box that wasn't needed, and then you covered it over.
No, I didn't. That was just those boxes were there in the beginning. So as I started inking, we were under the assumption, because we had the words already in Quark Express, they would be picked up and placed in those boxes. But then we made the decision to hand letter. Then we made the decision to make a differentiation in between the what do you call it? The narration box being square and giving it more some jaggedness for excitement. Also, too, I think because you squashed the layers, I think you eliminated the 10% gray. There should be a 10% gray in that box because I added that as well. To each of those narrations, because it was from the teaser 2. Teaser number, the first teaser, we had added a 10% gray to the narration box
Yeah,
as well as
there's no
the
reason why that would go
spikiness.
away.
Yeah.
There's no
So
reason why
I
that would
might.
go away. Yeah, it's still here. It's still here. Just can't
Okay,
see it.
cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the high contrast of your video then.
Yeah. So yeah, process. I think what we're gonna do is for the final printed comic is and before we even do any more of this hand lettering, is we're just
Yeah.
gonna go to a font. I think that's gonna solve all of our problems. Because
Yeah, but
then
I have
can,
a lot of concerns about the font thing. So I
well,
think
I'm
when
gonna
we
make
get
the
to
font.
that
I'm gonna
I
make
understand. I've done it too, Jake, and
yeah.
it gets you 80% of the way there.
Right. Yeah, no,
So
you're right.
because
You
right,
still have to fuddle with it. Yeah, because
or bring in like a bolder font, or I don't want to
yeah,
say it, just I mean it's great. I'm not dismissing it, and I don't want that to be there, but I do also like the handwritten part of it too. So
well,
because
that's
it,
gonna
it
be
it merges with the art, it just merges really well with the art.
that's gonna be part of my font. I'm gonna have uh, at least two versions of every letter,
Oh,
and
okay, cool.
randomly swap them out.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
what I'll do is I'll type everything out, and then I will go back in and just take like 3 out of 5 letters and just put the alternates in.
Yeah.
And again, that is kind of obsessive. Most people would never ever notice it, but they're like little subliminal things.
Yep.
And once we systematize it, it won't even be a big deal. That
Yep.
step is going to save us net time overall from what we're
Yep.
doing now, because
Yep.
what we're doing now, it sounded like a great idea, and it was a great idea on the first sample page, but it wasn't. I don't think it's
Yep.
sustainable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So
I'm
let's
with you.
so yeah, let's get back to this great conversation you and I were having offline, because just logging in today, we had like some delays, and I'm getting all these error messages from the tool that we use to broadcast called Riverside, and it's telling me like, hey, your hardware isn't as good as it could be. Because my MacBook is 10, 15 years old or something. So then you started telling me, yeah, Jake, the new demands, especially for AI, are going to be, people are going to have to, update their computers, their processing chips. It's a huge thing on Wall Street right now. This chip maker, I forget the name of them, but one of the
NVIDIA.
biggest, Nvidia,
NVIDIA.
right? And
Yeah.
and all the
NVIDIA.
other
Yeah.
competitors, were surging on the news of this fact. Like, what? Everybody's going to have to replace their computer with a new,
Yep.
a
Phones.
new chip, and so
Yep.
that sent tech stocks surging. But I heard something in my circles that it's not that great environmentally to be doing this. It is going to, and that's one of the reasons why they need more efficient chips. That process more. It basically like, everything you're doing it's going to be triple intensive. But on the power end, it's also going to be very, very demanding. And it kind of reminds you of the crypto mining.
Yeah.
When you hear how much energy is needed for those supercomputers to compute
Mint.
those mathematical equations,
Yeah.
and how much it costs, especially how much coal has to be burnt or electricity has to be generated. That's also not sustainable. So it's I think it might be a little bit controversial when every maybe 5 years from now everybody has one of these new AI chips, and if we're using AI
It'll be 1
that much
year. It'll take
1 year. I know
one
you keep
year.
moving up the timeline.
I'm not doing it. This is stuff I'm being told and I'm reading because, like, I made the joke, and I really do believe in it wholeheartedly. Apple will change their phone identity to AI phone, and the first one will not have a number assigned to it, and then the next one will be number 2, and they're just going to start the whole thing over, man.
Well,
and you're either in or you're out, bro.
Apple might have a lawsuit because somebody might already have AI phone, and
they'll buy them out. They'll buy them out, or they'll have
sue them out of existence.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, they'll find something. That's what those. They're all about,
well,
man.
You know, it's going to be an interesting new world. You know, last night I saw the pretty good movie on Netflix or whatever called Julia Roberts movie called Leaving the World Behind. And it was kind of like a post-apocalyptic disaster movie, but it was, you know, as the disasters unfolding. Great movie, actually.
Yeah.
As cynical as I am, you'd like it. I won't go too deep into it, but it was really good the way it kind of built the story little by little. And you know, it's some special effects, but actually good writing. You know, surprisingly good writing and thought-provoking writing and stuff. And then you're gonna laugh at this. I was like, what? And my wife goes, "Did you see who just flashed by on the executive producer credits?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Michelle and Barack were on there."
Oh my lord!
So I'm like, "Whoa, that's weird." They're getting into the movie game all of a sudden. But yeah, I gotta say, you're gonna like it. You know, it's maybe it's something of a comeback for what's her name, but
Julia Roberts.
But you know, she's definitely looking her age, and she's in these new mom roles now. And the other one is Ethan Hawke, so he was really good in it.
He's in everything right now. He's been in everything
some of these names.
Well, I saw 2 back-to-back movies that one of them was I've seen before, and the other one I am still floored about. Planet of the Vampires, 1964. And then the next night I watched Queen of Blood, which was, I think, 1965. And of course, both of these movies were direct inspirations for one of our favorite movies, Alien. And let me tell you, Queen of Blood I've seen before. It's got Dennis Hopper in it as a supporting actor, but it's one of his first biggest roles as an actor.
Up to that point.
Up to that point, yeah. And what they took from this movie was basically a rescue mission, 1, and then 2, a female alien that sucks blood and leaves eggs behind, and they end up on Earth. But the whole Prometheus premise, which I've watched a couple of reviews on YouTube, which were really fun. One guy made he cut up the movie and the trailer to make it appear more like the Prometheus prequel trailer, and use that similar kind of like shring, you know, the sound, the music and everything. But so you got 2 ships go to this planet that has a desolate spaceship that's sending an alien beacon, and they find out and they're giants. Oh wow! And this one was done by an Italian director named Mario Bava, B-A-V as in Victor A, and you know, big Gila fan, you know, making movies for the romance Gila, you know, the noir films and the horror films and the westerns, you know, all the spaghetti westerns, all the stuff that was coming out of Italy. And man, I just And the thing that made uh, Planet of the Vampires so well done for 1964, and for me the quirky B movie feel still holds resonance. Is it was shot completely on a sound stage, and the effects were either actual or models that then they would cut the film so then you could see them walking along the planet, but then in the background would be a model of the planet, not a painting. Like, and it would have like the dry ice bubbling up, and
Was this black and
liquid. No, full color. And that was the other thing. He was using color gels to light. Very dark sound stage that was being like, I don't know if you would call it highlighting, not spotlighting, but like that sort of like edge glowing was always like a purple or a neon green or an orange. But and then their suits, their space suits. I showed my wife, and she was like, "Wow, that looks like the old European race car driver suits." And they just had these really cool collars that pulled all the way up, above their ears, so that when they put their helmets on. But super, I'm going to watch it again. And I'll put a link down below because I saw both these movies in really good clarity on YouTube. But the Queen of Blood, the disappointment for Queen of Blood is it's a Roger Corman movie. Not that that's a disappointment, but what they did was they had taken all of the special effects. He had bought all the special effects from another movie that was done in Russia called The Dream Comes True. A Dream Come True. Yeah, A Dream Come True, which was a similar type, but it was obviously during Soviet control, and it was a lot of anthems being played, and we're going to the moon, but even better, we're going to Mars, and it was subtitled. That's on YouTube as well. But great fun in the B movie realm, and it's got me looking for more and more stuff. So
Yeah, my wife won't sit down and watch B movies with me. As soon as I'm putting on that kind of stuff, she walks away.
Gets up and leaves. Yeah, mine will too. But if I show something, she'll be like, "Oh, that looks like," and then walks away.
Last night I tried out a channel called Midnight Pulp, and it's they got some pretty interesting movies there. They look like they tout themselves as a digital licensing company or digital media company. And if you try to download, if you install that channel, it asks you to verify using your phone, and then they want to try to sign you up for $5.99 a month and all that. But they had some interesting movies, and I clicked on a free one, and it was from like 1989. It was so bad, I fell right to sleep. There's just some really profoundly bad movies out there, you got to really weed through them to get the good recommendations.
But it's also the lens you're coming at them with. If I've been watching a lot of really made modern stuff, contemporary stuff, then when I do try to sit down, when I do try to sit down and watch a really bad B movie, obviously it looks even worse than being just a bad movie. But if I go like a couple of days and I'm not watching any kind of content other than like YouTube reviews of movies or just nonsense, and then I'm like, you know what? Tonight I feel like watching a movie. Like Planets of the Vampires was that kind of situation. I was just like, whoa, like, wow, this is really good. I mean, I think the hardest part, and I've thought of this a bunch of times, is downloading some of these movies and cutting some of the scenes just shorter. So you got these scenes where they're walking, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the scene is. So for 35 seconds, you've got them walking where it should just be less than 5 seconds. But we all know why. is because they needed to hit certain timestamps in order to be recognized as a feature movie or a, you know what I mean? So there was all that distribution nonsense. So and then how much they would actually be able to get recorded, would be an issue as well. So, because
Yeah.
most of these
So
movies, sorry, like I think it's like an hour and maybe like almost 70 minutes. This movie, it could really be like probably about 45 to 50 minutes. Like 45 would
yeah.
probably be even better. You know what I mean? Because it would be paced a lot easier for us
Well,
nowadays.
yeah, we're in the future.
No, Jake, they were in the future. They were going to Mars.
Yeah, but we're in the actual attention span future, and
it's sad.
people used to be with their thoughts a lot more in movies. Right now, if you have something, they complain about maybe like the Lord of the Rings. There are these long scenes of them just walking along these like mountain passes, and and it's like that's 20 seconds, man. I need to see some either some swords flashing or some elf chicks,
Dragons. Yeah, but I think that's the sort of sadder part of entertainment, is our expectations are just ridiculous. Therefore, we need something like AI come along. When I was waiting for you to sign on, I was checking my Instagram and just doom scrolling, and I just started following. And if I remember, well, I will remember because I can hear myself while I'm doing the edit. This guy is using AI already, and he lives in Prague or somewhere, in the Western Bloc countries, and he put, it was called, was it Prague under not siege, but like occupation by imperial troopers, and it was all of these, the white and the black suited stormtroopers, the AT-ATs, the ones that were on two and crawled, and then land speeders. But it was all footage he most definitely shot himself. But the integration was on an iPhone, obviously. You can't tell any of the nuances of it, and it loops like in 30 seconds, and you watch it like 2 or 3 times because you're just like, what the hell? So that's coming around the corner where a lot of this stuff is just going to go, it's going to go bonkers. It's going to go bonkers.
Yeah, you're talking about remixes and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I've got a couple ideas business-wise for old material, like video, movie material. I'm not going to share right now, but I'm already starting to see the technology meet my thoughts. It's just going to be, I need a new computer, AI chip based. You see what I mean? Like, that's really the only thing that's going to keep me from repurposing material and editing Planet of the Vampires down into maybe 20 minutes long, if not 25 minutes long. And you know what I mean? I mean, that's going to be one of the bigger things.
Somebody did that with one of the Star Wars installments, right? And and they got sued and stuff, right? Yeah. So we are in a society that's changing. AI is changing. You're talking about this planned obsolescence where the big technology companies have us by the short hairs, and they charge us about $2,000 every like 3 or 4 years. Yeah, otherwise they're going to make it harder for you to just do the legacy things, that you thought you could do forever. No, they're going to make it harder. I'm doing this right now on a 1990s MacBook, because this is when Photoshop was a one-time purchase, and you guys are probably like, wow, you get to use this forever.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, that's how all
on
software
those,
was.
yeah, on that computer, yeah.
And
Well,
as a
there,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, I mean, there is a way around it. I have an old art student of mine that's back in town, and we've been having lunches, and he's been migrating, and this has been for years. He's just officially now getting into coding as a profession, and we riff a lot, very much like you and I do, Jake. And he comes back now most of the time. He's like, yeah, we could set that up. I mean, you could just set up your own machines now to run your own ALMs. I mean, excuse me, your LLMs, and start generating and
You want to
making all
explain what
these types of
LLMs are? So,
large learning models. So that's what an AI is. The A To call things AI is really to call them autocorrect. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
in your word processing, AI is just a socialized term. So the media companies can either scare you, or the more major corporations through advertising can entice you. It's a quick and easy way to get you on either side of a fence, or up on a fence, or knock you off of a fence. But the technological advancement that's going on is in the large language models becoming more and more proficient at crunching data, and interpreting that data, reinterpreting that data, repurposing that data, and redistributing that data in order to be in some malleable form for us to either appreciate or utilize and better our society.
yeah, right. If you like Skynet, sure.
Well, I still have this overwhelming feeling of hope that one of the major things that will come out of this is a super advancement in health, and it will actually be
Right.
placed out there, especially for like Alzheimer's. Cancer has been on the elimination uh, process if you're getting screened early. So if you're entering your 50s, get your colon checked and your prostate, and let's not have those things happen to you. But there are things out there that we would benefit from as a society from all of this large language modeling, and yeah,
Well, if there's money to be made, yeah. Um,
yeah.
I mean that's really what we're talking about. You when you're talking about the necessities of life, talking about food, medicine, air, you know, um, electricity. There's these commodities and water, and if technology can help, make these things more efficient to I mean, one great big graph that I saw yesterday when I was doom scrolling was, um, the increase in productivity that
Yeah.
technology has been bringing. And they went through way before computers, the digital age. They were talking about the lever. I mean, not the lever, but washing machines, and when people used to just do a lot of stuff by hand, and all of that efficiency has been gobbled up by profiteers, as opposed to redistributing that to workers, and giving workers, like a shorter work week. No,
I was just going to say that.
it's just going to
What?
create this society, and this kind of like elite society, and that's exactly what we're seeing. This is one of the comments of Turbo Pitfighter, and we have our fictional DeHuberton family as kind of like a caricature of it. But we've been talking about it for a long time, about the Gates and the Kochs and the Bloombergs and the Jobs, and all of these families now that are going to be tantamount to royalty, in the control that they have over our lives, and in all these little ways that it affects us. The only thing that we can hope for is that somebody like Bill Gates, or Jeff Bezos is blinking when a new technology like, AI comes in, and they don't, monopolize it, and they leave it to the marketplace, because then, new people can come
It's
in.
a generational thing, though. I think that's going to be the thing we're going to experience when we're retired. Um, you know, our children, and I don't have any, but the children we brought up as a generation will be stepping into our shoes in the managerial leadership roles. Right now, they're just in the middle management, starting out, finding themselves, starting up new companies, just these different types of things that we had done. Because our generation, which is Generation X, Jake, we're responsible for bringing the internet, Web 1 to the world. We're the nihilists from the early 90s that were getting out of college, late 80s, early 90s out of college and disenfranchised, and we latch on to the internet in 95, 96, and we start playing with it so profoundly that we're now at Web 3. It's a generational thing. So I'm just hoping, all of this yammering, which I doubt is going to happen because of the DeHuberton style of families controlling, they really do the things that they're complaining about or they're overwhelmingly concerned about, which is, energy and waste and equal distribution, all this kind of stuff. But our parents were the hippies that became yuppies. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's a generational thing.
Generation became the common stock generation.
Yeah. So,
unfortunately, and a lot of hypocrisy there. But we're
give me
we're
mine. I want mine.
We're doing it all over again now. What we're going to be leaving to the next generation. So, these are all commentaries, and what better vehicle to make these biting social commentaries than sci-fi? And it's entertainment, but it's also trying to make people think where we are. And it was like that movie last night I watched. Really interesting undertones about how people treat each other, and when we've seen all these movies like Outbreak and the Purge and everything, where when things get rough, it's every man for themselves. I don't know if you saw World War Z. That was another one.
Yeah.
And there was a great moment in the movie where they say, that's one of the things that our enemies can use against us is, if they introduce chaos in our society, we'll do the rest ourselves. We will.
We have been.
Instead of coming together to help each other. And he says those are going to be the countries that fall the quickest. And it's it's kind of like the coup d'etat, program that we've been doing to other countries, and the West has been doing to other countries forever. Is make things a little uncomfortable, and then they go at their own throats, and then you step in.
Well, it's as simple as this. You create a narrative that's structured around us and them, and then you as the us start getting everybody immediately around you to start enlisting. You enlist 10, they enlist 10, and then it goes from there. But the saddest part about that social rising and social awareness and wokeness and generational is it uses the oldest propaganda that the Minoans or the what is it, the Syrians. I mean, back before the Bible, we're using, because that's what all of those hieroglyphic friezes are about, is about us and them. And they
Yeah.
are fill in the blank, the enemy. They eat their own babies. They this and that. They're just same as us. They're just on the other side of a fence,
not only
literal
that,
fence
Kurt,
or thing, and it's just so
not
sad.
yeah, not only that, but you made an interesting comment about the ancient art of the day. I have a lesson I do with my eighth graders about dragons. Because like, all right, they come into art class, and we're gonna think about dragons, and then I show them the history of dragons, and then I show them these, Egyptian arts, and there was Syrian art, and they were carving into these big slabs, and it wasn't just the fact that they were tricking people into believing that dragons were 100% real by showing them dinosaur bones, but they were also telling them that your pharaoh and your emperor and your leader, whatever the culture was, can defeat the dragons, and
Yep.
they needed their artists and their scribes and their storytellers to make these fables come alive.
Propaganda art. It's
It was the
propaganda art.
propaganda of the day,
Yep.
and
Yep.
we look at it today as, wow, this is ancient art, and it's like, no, this was being used to control the masses even back then.
Masses.
And I tell that
Yep.
to my kids, and they look up at me, and I'm saying, everyone that gets dragon tattoos, and it's like, wow, what a cool image. You should realize the long history. It was a fantasy creature that was made up because people were so superstitious back then that they believed this crap, and they were shown all kinds of like fake. I mean, like dinosaur bones are real, but the idea that they're going to fly in and kill somebody. I mean, they we don't know, for sure, but they might have even staged dragon attacks, in a village just by burning everything, and
Well, they
I mean,
burn the village. You burn the village down. All the people are dead. And then all the soldiers come back and go, "You're not going to believe what we just saw." What did you see? This thing came out of the sky.
right,
Oh,
right.
and then all it takes is for you to go back to a larger city-like civilization and say, "Oh, those villagers who, by the way, wouldn't migrate and sell their grain at a cheaper price to us." A dragon came, but our fearless leader told them if they just joined in and gave away their grain to us, then they would be saved. But they didn't listen, and look what happened.
And lest anybody think that,
It's
yeah,
crazy,
and
man. We're still operating on this level.
it's an incredible thing, and that's why I do this lesson. I mean, it's very different. And lest anybody think that, oh, these are primitive people. This is like
We're the primitives.
this is
We're
like
the
2000 BC,
primitives.
5000 BC. They'll believe this. These ancient cultures. No, it was happening. The Christians. You can look at art right now where Saint George defeats the dragon in the year 1514 something. I mean, it isn't really to the 1700s where people lose some of these superstitions and start to understand science a little bit better.
Enlightenment. The
And
Enlightenment.
you could I mean, we literally have today people that refuse to believe that the earth is round, or maybe, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of people that think the literal interpretation of the Bible is the
Hey now you're crossing the line there, buddy.
right, that Trump's
But
science and
here,
everything.
so my favorite is, and it's not, it's adjacent to it. But one of my favorite is, Homer's The Iliad, Odyssey, where Ulysses is coming back, and he goes to, his gang gets captured by the Cyclops, right? Well, they now know, for let's say a hair of a doubt away, that the way they invented the Cyclops as a real prehistory to them creature that, Odysseus had to fight is that they would, landslides would unveil mammoth skulls. And the
Right.
nostril of the skull is so central that everybody started calling it a cyclops. And so everything starts becoming more and more fabricated around just the exposure of fossils or we'll just say dinosaur remains, which was based off of the preceding ice age that, our race had been surviving, in smaller groups, and then Fertile Crescent and all this kind of stuff. It's really good stuff. But just a reminder, we're way over 45 minutes by 3 minutes. We like to keep these episodes bite-sized. Hey, Jake, how much longer do you think you're gonna have on these the finalization of these files, so you can kick them to me so I can get my version printed?
Well, I just finished one page. I just started and finished one page in the time it took us to have that great conversation. I am going to streamline things by by flattening all the layers first. Okay. But it depends on what's on the page. I would say minimum 10 minutes per page.
Cool.
Maybe half an hour per page. And,
Thank you.
Yeah, right. We'll go.
So that could be a today thing, or would you have to wait till next week to?
Oh yeah, I don't think it's going to be today.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I needed to know. But other than that, Jake, that's all I've got. Do you have anything else for these lovely people so we can let them get back to reading comics, making them if they choose?
Well, we got so caught up in that conversation. The people got spared, but I have another stack and another stack and another stack of comics that I acquired on my Florida trip. So we have that to look forward to if you skip ahead to the next episode. And if you're in if you're watching this in the next 3 weeks, you won't be able to skip. But check out our other channel. We have Comics to Influence, and we have the Indie Creator Exchange. So keep on making comics if that's what you do.
Awesome. I'll see you next week, Jake.
All right.